A tragedy truly has taken place in Bengaluru. A 23-year-old woman, Soundarya, was electrocuted to death this morning. That's not all, unfortunately. Soundarya was walking with her 9-month-old toddler, Suviksha. Shekhar, let me bring you into the conversation here because, Shekhar, you're a resident of Bangalore, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So, and you know, like I said, okay, yes, these civic infrastructure problems, they're there across India, but literally in the past 1 year, the most of them that we've discussed and debated end up coming out of Bangalore, and we're just at a loss of words. Nobody can understand why this continues to happen in Bangalore and what really has gone wrong, because, you know, there comes a point where you have to stop with the conspiracy theories, because, okay, if something else were to happen, people would say, oh, this is a foreign conspiracy in India, trying to make India look bad. Who's trying to make India look bad here? Who's left? Are we saying someone from China came, cut up the wire, left a live wire open for someone in Bangalore to die? I mean, somewhere we have to wake up and say, okay, something is actually still terribly wrong with the people who are responsible for our daily lives.
Absolutely, Deepika. And I was just listening to all my co-panelists speak, and I also believe this is very, very tragic. Such a young life being lost in such a manner. Now, this also reflects the apathy of the current administration, of the current ruling government. The fact that, I am a resident of Bangalore, and I can tell you there is a particular flyover here in Koramangala which is being built for the last 20 years. In 20 years, people leave jobs, join jobs, have children, get grandchildren, they move on in life. But for 20 years, a flyover is being built, irrespective of which party is in power. Now, that's just one example. The second thing is, on your channel itself, we have spoken so much about potholes. We have spoken about the memes around potholes, where people have shown that the potholes are like the craters of the moon. But the government has done nothing. They've only been counting the potholes as and when election time comes in. The third thing is, the citizens of this country, of this beautiful cosmopolitan city like Bangalore, they have tried everything under the sun. You've tried, pressurizing the government. There have been letters which have been written, but somehow you feel there is a total lack of accountability, lack of responsibility, and a lack of love for human beings in terms of being sensitive to issues like this. Now, if you're talking about a live wire being lying vacant, or lying on a road like this, and nobody's even taking accountability, one shudders to think, what is human life all about? And like you said, at one point of time, we are talking about India being at the forefront of the world. India is a superpower, financial powerhouse. Bangalore's IT capital of the world. For everything you have an app here. Somehow our infrastructure is in shambles. Our infrastructure is in shambles. We have think tanks in place.
And Shekhar, you tell me honestly, who would want to come and stay in Bangalore? You tell me, who will leave their lives in America, Europe, or other places of the world, Korea? Who's Japan? Who's leaving all of these places to come and settle in Bangalore?
Yeah, so I think that's the entire problem here. I think as a society, we're getting so insulated with what is happening around us. Human life does not really matter, not just for us, but also for the politicians, also for the people around. I think somewhere we all need to start questioning, and we all need to start asking questions. And like you said right at the beginning of the program, you used the words of the great Mahatma Gandhi ji about civil disobedience and about non-violence and everything around it. I think it's very important for us to ask these questions, because unless they put under pressure, nothing really happens here. And once they put under pressure, yes, they do react and respond. But I think there's much more which needs to be done here. We need to do so much more work, and it's always a constant fighting which we're doing, which somewhere at the end of the day, which is not correct. We can't just keep fighting for something as simple or as basic as infrastructure, which is what a superpower is all about. Simple, basic infrastructure. If for that you're losing human lives, then I think, like they say, the country is going to dogs. I would not call it going to dogs, but I think the country is going to donkeys, I would say.
And Shekhar, is there then any possibility, like I said, okay, and Ambassador Pradeep Kapur also said, okay, we're not in a pre-independent zone where we have to really go into the Gandhian modes, but just taking inspiration from what happened then. Is there something that we can do then in modern India? Is there some inspiration we can take? Because I'm sure sitting on a protest is not going to, it's really not going to make a difference to the political class of this country. Media pressure we've seen. Who cares about media pressure in this country?
See, Devika, this issue would not have arisen if it would have happened to somebody who's a millionaire, somebody who's a politician. This issue would not have happened. It's happening to the middle class, the low middle class. That's why it's getting affected. And the fourth pillar of democracy, which is you talking about it. Now, what we've also seen is this is a one-off issue. Infrastructure has been a bane for India for a very, very, very long time. But look at the other, wheels which are in motion. Everything else is moving perfectly. So somewhere we all have to collaborate. Somewhere we all have to question and keep questioning, and put enough pressure on our elected representatives about asking what their manifesto is, whether they're working as per the manifesto. Yes, we have to go back to the time, and I think that's the only way out, because social media is also very, very active. We have seen social media, if it's used effectively, can bring about change. I think it's also important for us to fight for it, talk about it, write about it, speak about it, and let people know that every human life is important. You cannot just get away with it, and so like you mentioned right at the beginning of this, the small girl who passed away, the 9-month-old girl, or and the mother. It cannot be so simple. It cannot just be so tragic. It cannot be so cruel that you allow this to happen and nobody takes responsibility for it. Suddenly people are on probation mode. Suddenly the person who's supposed to take responsibility is missing in action. This is more than just conspiracy theories. This is just pure inaction by the government. And it also boils down to the fact about all the free policies which are in place, or all about the things which they did to come to power. Now we are paying the brunt for it. Who bought into this idea of the freebies? It's the public. It's we at large. We voted for this government. We have to pay the brunt for it. And that's what the elected representatives will do. Because you're paying for it, you have to pay for it right now. And ultimately, it all boils down to that. Ultimately, we have to fight for it. Ultimately, we have to start questioning. And I think the right minds have to collaborate and think about how can we win this together. It's been done in the past. It's happened in the past. India has done this in the past. India can do this in the future too. We can always take inspiration from the past for making a brighter future for all of us. There's nothing wrong in doing that. But the point is, do we need to keep doing it again and again? Do we need to keep fighting for it again and again? Because we are at one point of time, we're talking about India being a financial powerhouse. The G20 summit went really well. The World Cup went really well. India has got potential in doing so many good things. But when you deep dive into a city like Bangalore, which is the IT capital of the world, which is the shining light for IT across the world, you have shoddy infrastructure. Somewhere, I don't know, I think the media houses need to get involved, companies need to get involved to see whether this infrastructure is good enough or not for their employees to work in. When they put pressure on the elected representatives, automatically things come into play. We've seen that with the roads in Bangalore. When the roads in Bangalore were really bad, we had the IT companies actually putting pressure on the government, and then the think tank was created, and then suddenly overnight things have changed. So things have changed, things have happened overnight. Only when you put pressure on the elected representatives, it actually happens. But for that, it has to be done in a more strategic manner. It has to be done in a more rigorous manner. It has to be done in a more persistent manner. And there needs to be a lot of passion and play here.
Okay.